Hey y'all, I am Chris, aka TT Chris, aka Krista Sleece Johnson.
And I am Kayla, aka Killer K, aka I ain't a killer, but don't push me for all my offensive folks, aka Bobbiana today. It's Bobbiana to you. And this is another episode of Make It Make Sense, the podcast with Chris and Kay. Welcome to anybody who has been listening, and welcome to anybody that we have new here. We are happy to have you.
Always. Welcome back, y'all. This week, we're gonna get straight into it, okay? Cause we got another little topic, you feel me? That I feel like, I don't know, if you don't partake in this particular what's the word I'm looking for?
Recreational activity.
Recreational activity, because Kayla know me. She know me. Yeah, if you don't partake, then you know somebody that partake. You love somebody that partake, and
Definitely know somebody that partake.
you definitely know somebody, as you should, because it ain't nothing wrong with it. You feel me? But we gonna get into this cannabis conversation today, okay?
Okay.
So
Now, this is something a little bit, we're going to talk about cannabis. And although you know and love somebody that smokes it or that eats it or inhales it, whatever they do, this conversation is going to be, I think, a little bit heavier than, the last week's conversation. So I think that we like to balance ourselves here. So we like to keep it lighthearted, but we also like to talk about serious shit too. Put a little information in your dome and combine it with a little entertainment too.
yep, for sure. And the thing that makes this conversation so serious is really when you're discussing the relationship between cannabis and the Black culture. So that is what we're making sense for you guys today. And, when you think about all that Black people have been put through because of this obvious, I'm going to say non-harmful because that's my perspective. We'll get into the science and we'll get into what, the actual medical professionals say about the use of it. But I feel like anybody that has information and can access the internet, which should be probably all of our listeners at this point, we all understand the way that we was, used to target Black and brown communities, to criminalize them, to create this perception around it that people who use it are going to go crazy and are going to lose their minds and don't do anything productive. So there's all these individual stereotypes when it comes to people that consider weed and weed smokers. So that's what we're here to break down for y'all today. We're going to get right into it. So,
Yeah. And then also, we have a very thought provoking question. Y'all know we do our questions that need answers. And so we are really interested in hearing other people's perspectives about this. So once you're listening to this, make sure that you go and comment what you think about the question that needs answers. But that's later on. So we'll get into that later.
for sure. So, with the more serious topics, we do like to give a little bit of a background of what we know about the topic. We want to come with as much truth and facts as possible. So neither Kayla nor myself are criminal justice historians. We are not very, very well versed in the topic, but we know just as much as the normal person does can find out, about the truth when it comes to the criminalization of Black and brown people when it comes to weed usage. So Kayla, can you just go ahead and give us just, a couple of concepts that you know to be true at this point about how weed has been used to criminalize Black and brown people?
Yeah. So, um, like you said, I'm not super well versed in this, but I can share what I do know, which is people, Black and brown people are the people who are most imprisoned because of cannabis offenses, whether it be like possession or like distribution or whatever. They're the ones that are most affected. Black and brown people are historically the ones that are targeted anyway, and so I feel like that's a huge part of it. And so the reason or the way that they are able to be imprisoned legally, even though, they could be selling or possessing like a dime bag or something, which anybody knows is a very small amount, is
Mm-hmm.
because of this three strike rule, or like sometimes people call it the three strikes and you're outlaw,
Yep.
which basically says that you can have two offenses, and then by your third offense, that's likely going to result in 25 years to life in prison. And so, something that I learned when researching for this episode is that the three strike rule was meant for, or the three strike law, excuse me, was meant for violent crimes or to prevent violent crimes. And so, the fact that black and brown people are getting locked up for these extremely non-violent crimes, like it's
Yeah.
not even like armed robbery. It's literally like selling weed in the street to their neighbors and shit like that. And this is to provide for their families because they are living in low income areas where there are a lot less opportunities for
Yeah.
employment. So they're just trying to provide for their families, for their neighborhoods, put on for their people, and they have the potential for getting arrested for selling weed to their friends or their family members or whatever. And after two times, by the third time, they in jail for life. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? When that's what they grew up knowing and seeing, and that's the only way that they know how to hustle and get their money. Um, and sometimes that makes more money than, working in an office job. You know
Hello,
what I'm
nine
saying?
times out of
So,
10, they make more money than working in an office job. You reckon
okay,
in a couple hundred
because
dollars a day, a few hundred
they
dollars.
they trying to pay college graduates $15 upon entry. Like, you got me fucked up. I'm gonna be in the streets too. Shit.
Like, look, cause tell me a dealer that's making $15 an hour, and I don't think I'll find one. I don't think I'll find one at all.
Period. And won't.
Look,
Um, but yeah, so that's the basis on like the three strike rule. And something also that I read is that black people specifically, although this targets brown people as well, but because we are black and we focus on like black culture and history on this podcast, black people are, I think the statistic was like 25% more likely to be affected by this law than white counterparts. Now, I'm sure that the number is higher than that. I feel
yeah,
like it probably is because I know that black men in prison, in the prison system, for the use of, or for the use or possession or selling of cannabis, the numbers are staggering.
yeah.
And so I can only imagine that that statistic is a little bit off, but just because that's what I read, that's what I said. So,
Facts.
um,
So that's
yeah,
what we're gonna
that's
go with, cause
yeah, and like you mentioned earlier, something else that I have heard before is that they try to create this narrative that um, marijuana is something that makes you lazy and just places you at a lower value essentially.
yeah.
And this is because they associated marijuana so heavily with the black community. And so obviously if you do not value black people, then you're not going to value anything that they do, and you're going to associate the two, when really everybody out here smoking weed.
Mm.
You know, in the 70s, everybody was so smoking weed.
Say it
Have you
again
never
for the
heard
people in the
of
back.
it's not Coachella. What was the name? I was gonna say Birkenstock. Lord have mercy. I don't know what the name of that
I know what you're talking about.
Woodstock,
Woodstock.
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, have you never heard of Woodstock? Like all of I was, Lord have mercy. All the white people out there smoking. Everybody's out there doing drugs and stuff like that. And you don't call these white people lazy. You don't call these
Yep.
white people lower class citizens or anything like that.
Yep.
So why are you doing it with black people? But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much like the basis of what I know about like the criminalization of marijuana in America. What
Yep.
about you?
Yeah, I actually, in preparation for this episode too, I went and watched a documentary on Netflix called Grass is Greener. And it's like this DJ, Fab Five Freddy. I don't know if you ever heard of him or not, but his name is Fab Five Freddy. Yeah, no.
No, I never heard of him before.
Me neither, but apparently he was like this very big DJ back in the day, and he hosted this show on MTV that basically introduced new rappers and all that stuff to the scene. So he's basically the one narrating this documentary on Netflix about marijuana and just the role that it played in music at the was it 80s? Well, he really went through different decades. I think he started with like 70s music and just talked about it through the different decades. But they really highlighted how jazz musicians were like the first people that the government really like targeted in order to associate negative weed usage with jazz singers, because I guess the integration of it, well, it was a lot of things going on at the time. Especially during the Nixon era, where he was trying to get everybody to not focus on the fact that he was trying to send people to war and stuff like that. And he wanted, he needed something for people to focus on. And he launched the war on drugs thing. But they pretty much took us back and told us how it started with this man named Harry Anslinger. Pretty sure that's how you say his name. Yeah, and it pretty much started with him. And he was like the first one to be like, no, like this is a very big thing. Like this will lure your children away and get them hooked on drugs, and their mind will go crazy. And he pretty much was the first one to use the media to manipulate the American people, because that's really what it was. Like, despite multiple professional medical reports coming out discrediting everything that he was saying to the media, he continued to spew the propaganda, because deep down he was a racist. I have not done any real research on him other than, what I watched in the documentary, but even the white folks on the documentary was like, I mean, let's just be honest. He was a racist. That's what it was. And I guess he had it out at the time for like what the jazz scene was doing, because it was becoming really big in Harlem, and white people were going down and hanging out at the Harlem spots listening to the jazz music, and all the jazz musicians smoked. Like, that was definitely a known thing, and they didn't like the integration of it all. I feel like they probably felt their power slipping a little bit. The more white people get to know black people and get to see that we really just here for a good time, like, it's just, they're not going to believe all of these stereotypes that the U.S. government are trying to put out about them. So they needed to nip that in the bud, separate that real quick. And the fact that you brought up hippies, so they actually continue the documentary and talk about the hippie era and how they targeted hippies as well. So basically, all together, they kind of lumped them in a situation where they could use that to be like, well, if you want your kids to leave your home and never come back and start integrating with black people, like, that's what's going to happen if you let them be hippies, basically. So they basically used all that to just be like, don't do it. It will literally, this man, they talk about Harry Anslinger and how any reports of coming up that used to come up about like just crazy stuff that used to happen. So it was this one report about this man that I guess he was a schizophrenic, and he ended up murdering his father and somebody else in the house. They said they literally took that report and put out everywhere in the media that this man was on drugs, that he was using marijuana before, and it was the marijuana madness that made him kill his family, even though...
Not the marijuana madness.
The marijuana madness, girl.
Clutch his
like,
pearls.
Because
not they had a name for it.
Like a whole name. Like, honestly, I'm not baffled anymore, but I feel like that was like a really big reason I wanted to get into media, because the way media can be used to manipulate people is one of the wildest things that I think the American government has ever done. I mean, they've obviously done a bunch of ridiculously wild things, but the continuation of the way that they use media to manipulate the minds just to put out whatever they want people to think about certain things just blows my mind. And it reminds me every day why we want to come on and do stuff like this, to be able to put different perspectives into the limelight, because you can't just believe everything you see, hear, or read, y'all. You have to like take in some personal consideration, a lot of personal consideration, along with the facts and the evidence. So when the medical professionals are saying there's no such thing as marijuana madness, ABCD, like, it's not going to affect people the way that y'all trying to make it seem, I'm gonna need y'all to listen to the professionals and not just listen to what's coming on Fox News. But I digress. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's wild. That's wild as hell. And they
Mm-hmm.
reason number 573 that white people be worried about the wrong shit. Like
All the time worried about the wrong shit. Like, but that
talking
was a
about
very good
marijuana
documentary.
madness.
Grass is Green on Netflix. Definitely check it out. Shout out to Fat Five Freddy for putting us in on the culture because I learned a lot of stuff in that documentary. And honestly, it didn't really tell me nothing I didn't already know because, like I said, at this point, I feel like all of us kind of understand the validity of how the government targeted black and brown communities when it comes to marijuana usage. So I hope everybody is at a point where we understand how many falsities have been spread about the recreational drug.
Yeah. And I feel like I don't know why I just thought about this now, but I just feel like people know the power that black people hold, specifically like the black family unit.
Yeah.
And the government or like white people in power have been trying to split up the black family unit. I don't want to say since the beginning of time, for before a long ass time.
Since
When
we've been here.
when Africans were enslaved, they would take away the father and take away the mother, so there wasn't a full family unit. They put crack in our neighborhoods to try to split up families. They put weed in our neighborhoods, or brought made it so um, black and brown people were so like quote unquote like disenfranchised or like lacking opportunities within their community that they were forced into the streets,
Yeah.
and then go and put them in jails. Like people understand the power that black people hold, and since the beginning of time have been trying to take down um, black people so they won't have access to that power. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, I think that a lot of black people are still realizing the power that they hold, and not everybody's on the same page about that. But we will be. I'm very
Yeah.
confident that we will be one day. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's already started, I feel like. I feel like we've already achieved so much in this country, and that has been acknowledged. And I think we have a whole lot more to achieve. I don't feel like majority of us feel like the work is done. I don't feel like that at all. And I think sometimes we want things to change so immediately, it can feel like we kind of just let it be and we're just like, nah, everything is okay for the most part. Like, it's not as bad as it was. But I feel like a lot of us are like, no, like, I want to really work hard so that these generational cycles that my family has been through will not continue with the family that I have, will not continue with the family after them. And
yeah.
all of that trauma eventually it's we chipping at it one generation at a time, and after 400 years you can expect there to be a lot of generational trauma. So it's gonna
Yes.
take us a while to actually get to it, but the fight don't stop, and I appreciate everybody that is still fighting a good fight. And when you see your brother and your sister down and out, y'all link up with them, okay? Help them out. Like,
Hmm.
when I used to work at my job, I used well, they can't fire me now, so it don't matter. But
Period. She's an
I used
entrepreneur.
to look her, and I'm gonna continue my work with the black community because I used to the same little stuff that white people come in, they get a little complaints about, they mad about something. The same stuff that white people used to get, I used to give it to the black people off rip. You ain't even gotta argue with me, ma'am. You ain't even gotta ask me. You want this discount because something wasn't right? I got you. You want free kids, free go-kart kids for your kids because something happened and it was mixed? I got you. Like, it ain't even no argument, no question about it, because in a second they'd be ready to help these white people out, this white family that was minorly inconvenienced. In a second they go be ready to help them out. But because
Hmm.
black people feel like we always have to fight for things, as soon as the aggression comes out, now y'all don't want to help them. Now they're too aggressive. If they would have just calmed down, you would have helped them. But no, it's not like that. And I've seen it over and over and over again. And that's why the least I can do is come in and make sure they on the even playing field. And, that just gets into a whole nother conversation about just having Black and brown people in places of power. But I feel like when it's not our companies from the jump, there's still only so much we can do. Like, the only reason I was able to do what I was doing because I was trusted, unconditionally with power that I had at my job.
Yeah,
And
you
I
were put
had,
in a position of power, a higher ranking position. Yeah.
absolutely. And, I feel like it can only come in a widespread form when we're owners of a lot of things. So, but slowly but surely, like, the number of Black businesses has continuously increased over the years, and I expect it to do nothing but to continue to increase. So
We
that's
love to
that on
see
that.
it.
We will see it. We sure will. So
Yeah. So continue with like the cannabis conversation, like fast forwarding a little bit. How do you feel like do you feel like it's still as much criminalization of cannabis as it used to be, or like what does the world of marijuana look like now from your lens?
So I don't think it can be, honestly. It can be as criminalized now just because of all the places that it has become legalized. Not saying that it's not criminalized anymore, because like I was telling you before this episode started, like, in the state of Georgia, you can still quickly be arrested for a 3-5. And what really truly don't make sense to me is how that is the case here, and I can live in Boston though, and like, all you want to, you feel me? Like, it's just, that's the part that don't make sense to me. Why is something that now we have proven has medicinal use, we have proven it's safe recreationally to use, science and medics have proven this. So why has it not been decriminalized on a federal level everywhere? Like, that's just the part that does not make sense to me. So that makes me feel like it is still being used to criminalize Black and brown communities, because at the end of the day, even when a white person is caught, science has proven, statistics have proven that it's going to be the Black and brown person that goes to jail, though. White people are going to get away. You're going to get a warning. You're going to get a slap on the wrist. Like, but you're still more likely to get arrested if you're, a Black or brown descent. So I feel like it is being criminalized still, but just not at the level that it used to be, just because, there are states that have decriminalized it. But it's not enough, if you ask me. It is nowhere near enough. Everybody that is still in jail right now for petty weed charges need to be expunged, like, lit everywhere immediately. But the problem is this government and this country is built on wealth. And a lot of that wealth comes from these jail cells. And they need to continue to replenish these jail cells. And the only way they're going to do that is with Black and brown bodies, because they ain't going to use their own people for that. So,
and that is something that people really don't talk about enough, is like the slave labor that they have going on in prisons. Like, people are getting paid literally 17 cents. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but I know it's not even a whole dollar. Getting paid
if they getting
17
paid
cents an hour to mass produce these items that go to big companies. Like, people talk about, oh, these came from China, and I'm not to even negate the fact that there's slave labor going on in China too, because people are not getting paid the wages that they should be. But people do not talk enough also about how a lot of the things that we wear on our backs, a lot of things that we can go to a clothing store and buy, are created in jails. And who makes up most of the jail population? Black and brown people.
Yeah,
they still got us in slavery, y'all. Like, that's wild to me. That's slave work. I don't care what anybody says. That's slave work. They're getting paid 17 cents. Yeah, it's paid something. That's slave work.
And what are they supposed to do when they get out?
Different.
Yeah, there's literally no avenue to help them rebuild themselves and help them become productive members of society again after you serve a jail sentence. So that's like the harshest thing I feel like about it. Obviously, actually serving the jail time, being in there, doing very hard labor with little to no payment. But then also, once you leave, they're pretty much just putting you back in this cycle of, you're going to leave, get out, not be able to find work, not be able to get housing, not be able to get nothing without help from the government. And ultimately, it's just going to force them back into the same situation that they have been in, trying to find a way to make money, trying to find a way to
Mm-hmm.
survive for themselves and their families. So, it's sad to think about. And it's something that I feel like should be at the forefront of this country of what we're trying to fix. Like all these social justice issues. Yes, we have a lot of little racism stuff still going on and still trying to get black people in high places in the working fields, but can we get our people out of jail first? Can we start there? Can we
Mm-hmm.
start with therapy for felonies and convicts? Can we start with rehabilitation for them? Like truly, like that to me is reparations. Releasing our people and putting them back into our hands so that we can rebuild them and help them become the kings and queens that we all know they are, and help them become just like more powerful versions of themselves. So
Man, I don't think that's reparations because these people were not supposed to be in jail to begin with.
they weren't, but we like, I'm tired of waiting on them to hand us a paycheck because that's not gonna happen. It's just not. I don't believe
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. And I feel like that has been our problem from the jump, waiting for them to
Waiting
give
for
us stuff,
handouts.
like waiting for these handouts. And I know that is hard to say. Like that's a hard pill to swallow, and I don't want that to hit anybody's ears incorrectly. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
we're saying that's not something we deserve. We know we deserve the money. We deserve the actual material
Run
money.
me my coin,
We
Joe
deserve that.
Joe
We
Byron.
deserve like for real. We really do. We deserve our coins to be ran, but at the same time, like we cannot wait for that shit no more. Like we cannot wait for them to decide to be good people. We cannot wait for them to decide after all these fucking years to give us the check. Like at this point, we need to collect the check ourselves. We need to learn how to create the check
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. Like, and we need to learn how to pass that shit on and down the line. And that's the only way I feel like we're gonna ever pull ourselves out of the situation that they put us in. Like, don't get it twisted. They put us here, but they will never help us get out for real. Like, it's not possible. So I feel like becoming entrepreneurs, becoming lawyers, becoming doctors, like creating our own fucking societies, our own structures and ways of living within our own selves. That's the only way for us to like truly progress. But I'm gonna digress because I'm about to get hyped for no reason. So
No, it's justified definitely, and I think that that's going back to what I was saying earlier about everybody being on the same page. I think that this needs to be a priority for everybody, and that's why, like, and this I guess it's kind of a good segue into the next section about like its commercialization, going from
yeah,
criminalization to commercialization. Whenever I talk to anybody, any of my friends that smoke weed, I always tell them like, support your local weed man. Like, do not be supporting these dispensaries until they let all these black and brown people out of jail that they in prison for the same shit that y'all smoking right now.
yep,
Like, there's no reason that y'all should, because this is going and this is government, these are government funded dispensaries,
entities.
government
Hmm.
funded organizations. The money that y'all are spending to spend it on weed is going back into their pockets. These are the same people that put your neighbor in jail. Like, it just, and I'm really, I mean, I'm getting like upset about it now, but this is really just to provide some perspective. Like I always tell people, don't be buying from dispensaries. I
Yeah,
mean, even if it's black owned, a lot of those portions and taxes and all that shit is being taken by the government. That's weed money going into the government's pocket. Support your local weed man. Like y'all been
facts.
doing it for all these years when it was still illegal. Continue to do that. Keep that same energy. Put something in his pocket. Put something in the pockets of his families. Let his family eat.
Yep, agreed. Like according to Statista, which is a website that basically collects a bunch of statistics about stuff and put them all together for us so that we ain't got to do that work ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the cannabis industry is projected to hit $70 billion.
Child.
$70 billion. Guess how many of them dollars about to go back to black and brown people? I think the number was like less than 5% of black and brown people have access to get into the cannabis industry. $70 billion
That's what I
dollars.
thought. And
It's
while
so sad.
while I will not, buy from a dispensary, I'm sure going, Invest some stocks because that motherfucker finna shoot
About to
up.
go up because Jay-Z, look, you see he done slid in there, you feel me? And I feel like he does a great job of creating opportunities for Black and brown people to be in these kind of industries that normally are very hard to get into. And I hope to see a lot from him. I know that he invested a bunch of stock into a cannabis company. I'm pretty sure it's not a Black owned cannabis company, but I think it's minority owned at least. Um, and I hope to see him open up the avenue. Like you said, yes, some of these taxes and fees are going to go right back to the government pocket. And that's just an unfortunate part of living in this society that we aren't going to be able to help if you do want to become an actual professional in the industry, if you want to become a licensed professional, I should say. But until then, like until 50%, 75% of these cannabis companies are owned by Black and brown folks, shop with your local weed man. As Kayla said, okay? And even when they do, still shop with your local weed man because he might not have that access and he might not be able to get into it. But, he still deserve his pockets to be full, okay?
Exactly. He is deserving of that whatever avenue of making money he chooses. He making
Yep.
money. I'm not saying go back to selling crack on the streets like it was in the 80s, but
Now it's different, okay? Okay,
yeah,
it's
that was
different.
a little bit of a different story. But I don't think has any like deaths or casualties associated to it to
Yep.
this day. Like marijuana has people been smoking weed forever, and there are still no documented cases of people getting hurt or getting sick or whatever from it. So
Yep.
even more
Like,
reason to continue to support your local weed man. He is the hood pharmacist,
he really is. He calming the folks down, lowering blood pressure. Like, but it's
curing
interesting, though.
cataracts,
A period.
lowering
Look,
anxiety.
should talk about it. Talk about it. Apparently, it even has some medicinal effects on asthma. I don't know how true that one is, but it was some reggae singer that said that, and he said it after a medical report came out about it. So I'm find out. Just go watch the documentary, y'all.
Curing
It was really good.
asthma.
I promise.
Hit up your
Look,
local hood
curing asthma. We're gonna
pharmacist.
throw that in there too. Like, it obviously has way more beneficial effects than negative effects. So
Yeah. So, what do you feel like like we touched briefly about it, but what do you feel like the commercialization of it looks like today? I can think of a few off the top of my head, but you go ahead first.
I mean, yeah, obviously the rise of dispensaries, obviously the rise of edible usage for it, the different ways that you can get into smoking. You don't actually have to smoke. They got the vaporizers now, they got the weed pens now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even, movies about it, songs about it. Like, it's just the avenues, the way that it gains exposure nowadays is completely different than how it's been. Um, I know you kind of documented a couple, so I ain't trying to take yours too, but it's just honestly though, it's just the way we see it now obviously is very different than the way that they perpetuated it back then. There's no more talk about the war on drugs, no more, especially the war on marijuana. Like, let a politician come out now talking about marijuana usage is going to rob your people. I'm saying, it's like, that's not a thing that's about to
His numbers
happen.
finna go limp.
Like, you're
Ain't
like
nobody finna vote for
immediately.
him.
Nobody. I'm trying to tell you, the people are going to drag you because at this point,
Everybody
the
knows the
eyes are
truth.
awake. Everybody know the truth about this, at least. Like, everybody know
Yeah.
the truth, and I really, really, really hope to see in the near future people start taking seriously the effects it's having on the people in the jail cells. Like, I just let them go. Let these people free. Get them the help they need to rehabilitate after the trauma that they go through being locked behind a cage. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, I can't imagine. I've never been to jail myself. I can truly only imagine the trauma that y'all experience, and to have no help, little to no real resources or guidance onto how to get back to just having some type of everyday life that doesn't always feel like a struggle. Like my heart really goes out for him, and I would love to see this government, especially with the way that it is commercialized now, like the way it's just so easy and casual conversation to talk about it, or to see somebody walking down the street in Boston smoking up a joint. Like it's just the way it's so free now. Why is everybody not free? Why is everybody that
Yeah.
has any type of history or background, why are they not free yet? So, that's my thought on the commercialization. But what you thinking?
Yeah, I mean everything you said. We see it in shows, we see it firsthand, people walking down the street, smoking. And I think the stigma around smoking weed is finally just breaking down, and we can tell a lot more because of shows like Cooking with Cannabis on
Mm,
Netflix.
mm.
I've never watched the show, but I've heard of it, and I'm pretty sure that it's full of white chefs. I don't know for
Yep.
sure, like because like I said, I haven't
Well,
watched it, but is
they
it? Did
have
you have
white
you seen it before?
hosts. Yeah, I've seen a couple episodes.
Okay.
They'll have they try to mix it up, but it's clearly a white produced show, like clearly. So it's just like this is still not. It's not enough. It's nowhere near enough. And the fact that white people can continue to profit off of something that black people are literally enslaved because of still to this
Hmm.
day is just beyond my mental comprehension. This to me absolutely does not make sense. And I need somebody to come and make it make sense, because I can't even do that for y'all. Like it absolutely makes no sense.
Yeah, one of my least favorite things about white people is
A whole
one
segment.
of my a whole segment. This let me put my glasses back on.
Kayla putting her glasses back on, y'all.
My name
For y'all
my name is Kayla,
listening.
and this is What Do You Hate About White People? Today, and what I hate about white people is how we ask for things and they completely ignore it. We have been asking for the criminal records of black people who have been possessed or sold weed for, we've been asking for years, but specifically asking since the commercialization of marijuana. We've been asking for black and brown people to get out of jail. White people give us Cooking with Cannabis on Netflix. We didn't ask for that. We didn't ask
How
for a
high?
weed t-shirt in Walmart. We don't want that. Send our husbands home. Send our fathers home. Send our brothers home. Like,
Mm.
I understand that's a tall glass of water to ask for. And we're not asking for this to be done overnight. But we need to be seeing some sort of action that's being put in place. Like some politician needs to speak out on it or something, like, so we can hold these people accountable. But no, for nobody to be even be talking about it, and shit like Cooking with Cannabis is coming out on Netflix, and white people smoking weed on TV, and it's just becoming super normalized while we forget about these lives that are rotting away behind prison cells for selling a dime bag. Like, it just make sense.
Mm.
Shit that we didn't ask for, that white people are trying to feed us.
Yep.
And
They did. They want you to forget about the real problem. They said,
that's the
"Enjoy
end of
this
my
cooking with
segment.
cannabis." The glasses are now off, y'all. But 100% exactly what you said. It's just y'all feed us distractions. That's what y'all want us to do. Get distracted by it so that y'all can continue to profit off of the enslavement of black and brown folk. And like I said, I truly hope in the near future it is something that is absolutely brought to the forefront. Like the next time we have a round of presidency, I that's what I want to see. I want to see somebody truly talking about that. Like give us a stance on how to actually fix the racial injustices that have continuously plagued this country. Like, give us some of
And
that. Like,
have you heard Joe Biden? 'Cause I don't know, but have you heard Joe Biden speak out about any of this? You know, Joe Biden was got a huge black vote,
he
obviously,
did.
obviously because he was up against a fucking Cheeto. But because he was associated to Barack Obama, I think he got a huge black vote. And so this is something that he needs to prioritize his time toward.
Yep. And from what I did a little bit of research about it, I know that he initially said that he was trying to work on laws that would continue to decriminalize it. As far as releasing the people that have been in jail, I have not seen a mass effort to do that. I have not heard him speak on a mass effort to do it. From what I just know as a regular, ordinary citizen that doesn't follow day-to-day politics, ain't shit being done about it. For real. Like, ain't nothing is being done about it. I feel like especially with the pandemic, it has been such a distraction for us in general because it has been something really hard to go through that I feel like his whole presidency has been completely surrounded by that. And we have not been, us normal non-political folks. Because I will say, I feel like the people that be in the political limelight, they have been on Joe Budden, Joe Budden. Joe Byron.
Joe Byron.
Look, I feel like they've been kind of on him consistently about the things that he have said that he is not following through on. I actually followed Tamika Mallory on Instagram, and she is supposed to be going live tonight talking about this thread about how Dems make all these promises and then they get into office, don't follow through with their promises, and then make all the other Dems look bad. So I actually want to go and watch her live about it because there's clearly some validity in what she's saying, because I feel like a lot of people are, now that we're kind of coming out of the haze of the pandemic, are kind of noticing like, my nigga, what you been doing since you been in office? Like,
Exactly.
what's going on? Like, so I don't feel like he's done much, but I would love to be able to talk to somebody that does study it, a professional, kind of get them on to be able to discuss what's going on and hope for better days, hope for better leaders. Because that's what it really come down to. I'm tired of having these leaders that give us a whole lot of hoopla to get in office. But that's like politicians, I feel like. Anyway.
I agree. Like, there's this movie, I can't remember what it's called, but there's this movie with I think it's Chris Rock in it, where he like becomes president, and he wasn't a politician before, and he just did an amazing job because he wasn't caught up in the politics. He was doing it for the people. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's listening to this and you know what movie I'm talking about, comment below or like message us or something. Yeah, it's a really good movie. But yeah, he did. I mean, obviously he went through his trials and tribulations in the beginning, trying to get people to vote for him. But ultimately he was trying to do what was best for the people, and not just necessarily trying to be popular or saying, like, making up lies and being deceitful just to get in a position of power. Like, he was a real nigga.
Real nigga. That's what we need in office, a real nigga, because we ain't had one in some time. Shit, maybe ever. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. Y'all know we love Obama for what he did, but
Joey Badass said, Obama just wasn't enough. I need some more closure.
I'm sorry, but that's the truth. It's just the facts. Like, we love you, Obama. We really do. We appreciate everything that you could do for us.
We appreciate
but we need
providing
more.
that representation.
We do.
But we need some.
We need more. We need more. We need more. So, but yeah. So we talked a lot about, the commercialization of it. We've talked a lot about the decriminalization of it. Let's get into the real about it. Like, so we're gonna go ahead and segue into our question that needs answer for today, y'all. Kayla, I'm gonna go ahead and let you answer the question first, and then me, as a weed fanatic, I would call myself. I'm gonna go ahead.
A weed connoisseur.
A weed connoisseur. See, I don't like to use connoisseur though, just because I feel like to be a connoisseur, I gotta know about the strands. I gotta know, like, I gotta be able to puff it and know exactly what I'm smoking. You feel me? I need to be able to look at it and be able to describe it for you. And I ain't that deep into it. I can't do all that, y'all. I can tell you what's good and what's not, what I like, how it make me feel. I can do that, but that's I did. But we'll get into that after.
Right, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Question that need answer for today, though. Do you feel like weed is an addictive substance? Like, do you feel like people can be addicted to it? Or is that hoopla as well, from your perspective?
I wouldn't say that weed is an addictive substance. Um, there are so like crack and like cigarettes, those are addictive substances. Like they literally have ingredients um in them that changes like the chemical balance of your mind to make you addicted to it, make you crave this. However, I think that anything can be addictive. I think that people can be addicted to smoking weed or to being high. They can be addicted to that feeling, but I wouldn't say that weed is an addictive substance. I think that people sometimes can have like um I don't want to say like addictive personalities, but I think that some people are more prone to addiction than others. Some people are more
Yeah.
reliant on substances to distract them or make them feel good, or they don't know how to channel other things to make them feel good, or it's like to suppress their anxiety or whatever. And so that falls into addiction because I get so anxious when I walk outside and see people around me that I gotta smoke because I don't know how to meditate. I've never heard of meditation. I've never been exposed to it, or it doesn't work for me or whatever. So I think that people can be addicted to smoking weed or to being high, but I wouldn't necessarily put the blame on that, put it on the substance. You know what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
anything can be addictive. I can be addicted to biting my nails. I can be
Yep.
addicted to hella people are addicted to drinking coffee every day in the morning before they
Yep.
go to work. People can be addicted to working out. Anything
Mm.
that's not in moderation is an addiction. So yeah.
Look at you just dispelling the truth, people. This is the truth,
That's
okay?
that Monmouth College education, honey.
Purr. Better teach you something at
Shut up, my
Monmouth.
fighting Scots. White ass institution.
I'm crying. Look, them PWIs, they reel you in, y'all. Go to a
Right.
HBCU. I look. That's a whole another episode for
Another
real.
episode for real.
That
Yeah.
is because I digress because
Right.
we don't need to get
We'll
into
make it make
that.
sense later.
We'll make that make sense later. But yes, I could not agree with you more. I think you explained that perfectly. I think people can absolutely become addicted to the feeling that you get because, like you said, it just not doing it in moderation can cause you become self-reliant on certain things. Whether that's you're being self-reliant on your physical physique because you're going to work out all the time, or you're self-reliant on coffee, as you said, self-reliant on alcohol. There are so many things daily that I think people are addicted to. How social media. Let's start there because that's
Yeah,
probably the biggest addiction that all of us can resonate with. So
definitely.
I don't think smoking weed is any more addictive than being addicted to social media is. So I definitely think you can. Like I said, it's the feeling of it, the wanting to relax, or the wanting to not be anxious, or the wanting to be in a more creative space. It's those desires that do fuel you wanting to, continue to smoke or whatever. But I think addicted is a strong word. Like so I'm gonna get real with y'all real quick, okay?
Come
If you
on, that's
know
what we're
me,
here
you
for.
already know. Look, y'all know I like to smoke. Yeah, you feel me? I like to roll me up a little joint.
Try to get down with the green.
Get down with it. You feel me? Because I like to relax. I like to be creative. I like my mind to move in a creative space. And I do think that smoking helps me with those things. Now, on the other end, I have been in spaces of time where I smoke heavily, not in moderation. And I have been in spaces of time where I have learned to smoke in moderation. And it is two very different things for me, for sure. Like, I do notice for me, when I smoke heavily, I tend to be a little bit more anxious. I tend to be a little bit too relaxed sometimes. Like for me, that's not the experience for everybody else though. But when I am able to smoke in moderation, I feel relaxed, but I could be productive space as well. I feel my
Yeah.
mind is moving. I feel like, okay, I'm chilling. Like I'm Gucci right now. Like, So I think it's all about just personal preference, honestly. And it's not addictive to the point where I'm having withdrawals. Like right now in my life, I barely maybe smoke once a week. Like it has significantly reduced because I need to move fast right now. That's how I feel about my life currently. So I do feel like for me, it slows me down a little bit in the best ways, because when I am able to slow down, I'm able to just think a little bit more creatively, let it flow a
Pay
little
more
bit
attention to
better.
detail.
Yep, exactly. But right
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like at a pace where I want to do so many things. I feel like I need to move a little bit faster. So, but honestly, it's about your preference. It's about your tolerance, what you can handle. But in no way, shape, or form have I experienced withdrawals. I'm not going crazy. I'm not like, I'm honestly cooling.
Experiencing
Like,
marijuana madness.
I'm not experiencing marijuana. That's the wildest shit, bro. Like, but facts. It's just I'm not experiencing any of those things. So I just feel like, if you know a piehead, but you're not a piehead, don't be judging them. Don't be looking at them sideways. Don't be putting whatever perspectives or stereotypes that you have personally about the substance onto them, because it 9 times out of 10 is going to be 100 completely different things. So,
Yeah, and you don't know what those people are using it for. Which also, I wanted to add a second part to the question that need answers. And
yep.
so can I correctly assume that you're saying that you can be addicted to smoking weed?
I, well, I just feel like addicted is like the wrong term to put on that, because when
Okay,
I think of addiction, I think, one, if you stop using it, you're gonna have very serious side effects that you go through.
okay,
And I don't feel like that's the case. And two, I also think addiction is like where you're willing to put important things over,
before it, yeah,
yeah, before smoking. Like if I can't pay my rent this month, but I absolutely need to get me a zip so that I can make sure that I'm smoking, or I like my relationship is turbulent right now for whatever reason because I'm smoking, but I'm gonna put this weed before it because fuck my relationship. It's just like at that point, that feels like an addiction. So yes, actually, because I know situations like that. So I do think people
yeah.
can be addicted to it, but I don't think it's as serious for everybody. I think there are very small, I'm talking about small, for as many people as I know that smoke, I feel like there is a very small handful of people that fall in that category of being addicted to it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think there's different levels to addiction too. Like I don't think that we necessarily have to look at addiction as something as extreme as like the side effects of like what crack does to you. So we've had exposure to someone who used crack and that caused them to like steal or to like lie to their
Mm-hmm.
family or to not do the things that they needed to do to uphold like a healthy livelihood or whatever. And I don't necessarily think the addiction has to be that extreme. You know what I'm saying? There's levels to this shit. So even though you're not going through like physical withdrawals because you haven't smoked weed in a week, I still think that you could be addicted. And so that kind of leads me into the next question. Do you think we kind of briefly touched on like the medical reasons that people could use weed, which is like cataracts, like anxiety, pain management, stuff like that. So would
Yep.
you say that people who use it for that reason um could be considered addicted,
Um,
or
I
is it like
mean,
recreational users only?
no, I think even if you use it medicinally, you could become addicted to it, because honestly, if your doctor is telling you, well, you only need to use it this many times a day in order to reach the level that we're trying to get to. So, for example, if you are using it to mitigate pain, your doctor tells you, well, you can eat one of these gummies a day. That's the recommended usage in order to keep your pain levels at bay or at this level or whatever. But you feel like, no, because I don't want to feel no pain at all. My doctor want me to feel a pain level 3, and I want to feel a pain level -0. Okay, so
Not
I'll
negative
just feel
zero.
like
I'm trying to be like that.
I'm saying, like, I'm trying to be like that. I'm trying to be like chilling, like, because that's all it's gonna do at the end of the day. Like, you just gonna be chilling off of it. But if you decide that you want to take 3 gummies instead of the 1 gummy that your doctor recommended, technically at that point, I feel like it's an addictive thing. Like, you're doing that because you want that feeling, and you gonna have that feeling regardless of what anybody says. So I think addictiveness, if we gonna classify it as addictive, everybody falls under that umbrella. It's not just people that use it recreationally. It definitely can be people that use it medicinally as well. So
you summed it up very well said.
That's how I feel about it. Shoot, y'all not about to just put it on us recreational users. Like, we the only ones that can get addicted to it if we are gonna be addicted to it. Like,
that's
no,
real.
You ain't no better than me. Like, just because you got a little card from your doctor don't make you no better than what I got going on over here. Okay.
Just because you got a little cord, it sounded a little personal. Maybe a little.
I think I felt a little hurt right there. Who did that to me?
Right, who hurt you, baby? You starting to let that pain go.
I'm crying.
But you guys, as we wrap up this episode, Chris, before we get out of here, I just wanted to publicize a couple organizations. Since we talked in the beginning about the criminalization of cannabis usage, I wanted to talk about these 2 organizations real quick, which are the Bail Project. Our cousin Kyra is an employee for the Bail Project. Basically, they go and bail people out for petty crimes, and not only that, but they also help to keep people on track, because one of the biggest reasons I think that people are continuous offenders is because they get out of jail, they don't know what to do with themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have the funds, they don't have the support, they don't have means to travel to these different appointments and court dates and stuff like that. And so the Bail Project is an organization across the country that is spread a lot across the years. And so you can check out the bailproject.org for more information. And then the other thing is the lastprisonerproject.org. So they're also an organization that fights the criminal justice system and tries to they also do something similar as the Bail Project. Like, they try to pay court fees and things like that, and they try to get people's records expunged that are associated to petty crimes like cannabis possession, distribution, stuff like that. And so you can also check them out at the lastprisonerproject.org. And so, yeah, if you guys need any more information or you like to support the cause, which I think we all should, you guys can check out those 2 websites for more information.
Yes, thank you for that. You're absolutely right. Do not sleep on it, y'all. Let's all get on the same page about this. Let's link up with our brothers, okay? Our sisters, our kids, nephews, nieces, all them. Link up with them and help them out, y'all. Check them out.
We are recording this on MLK Day. So for no other reason, go and support your brothers and sisters. We are stronger together than we are divided, but we can't be strong together if they locking all of us up. Okay.
Look, so let's get it together. Okay. Well, we appreciate y'all for joining us for another episode of Make It Make Sense. As Kayla always lets y'all know, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave us that 5-star review. Drop us some topics. Tell us what y'all want to talk about. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Same thing with if you're watching on YouTube. Definitely go ahead and comment, interact with us, and follow us on Instagram, y'all. Talk to us. Leave us some comments.
Tell your family about us. Come on.
Look. Come on. Because we all just trying to make it make sense, aren't we not? And we know y'all want to make some stuff make sense. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, go ahead and let us know. Because we be looking for guests. We're going to get into some collaborations real soon. Okay?
Very soon.
Look, so if you are interested, go ahead and DM us and let us know what you'd like to talk about. And
maybe we can make it happen.
We can make it happen.
Make it make sense together.
All right, y'all. Until next time.
See ya.
Peace. And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.